Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Lightworkers Connect. This is one of my favorite things that I do, being able to bring you guys other lightworkers who can share their insights. And of course, I got my good friend Jess Neary in the house today. Jess is a repeat guest on the show. You guys loved her so much when she came on and shared with us before about Feng Shui and about how this harmonic energy inside of our home is such an important topic. And I'm so excited to have Jess back today. She's going to talk to us about the energetic footprints that we are leaving in our home. So welcome back, Jess. I'm just going to take a minute and share out a few places. Feel free to share out as well if you want to, and we can say hi to people who are popping on here. All right. This is such a good topic. I think everybody needs to know because everybody lives somewhere, right? And having that relationship with our space around us, it can just make such a difference in terms of our level of peacefulness, our level of happiness. So this is something that I have been interested in for quite some time.
I think naturally, like a lot of people would be interested in this area. I know a lot of people I've talked to seem to have dabbled in Feng Shui here and there and kind of have almost like these base rules or knowledge on the topic. So that's pretty awesome. Hi, Rhonda.
Rhonda in the house and Brian's here. Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Come on in. Please feel free to share this out with your friends too, guys, because like we said, everybody lives somewhere, and really learning these principles that are not super difficult to apply. It's just really about having the knowledge, right, Jess?
Absolutely. Bringing that awareness to our spaces is really the beginning of setting that momentum, directing our life in the way that we want it to go. So I'm so happy to be here and sharing some tips and tricks and little tidbits. And I want to say, too, as a preface, that anyone who's listening, I'm sure you guys have your own practices at home that will definitely relate to the topic today. So if you do have certain practices, feel free to share them below, because it could be something that I've never tried or somebody else could benefit through it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm trying to think, what are my practices in my house okay, so here's one of my favorite things that I love to do, Jess. I love to figure out where the wealth corner of my house is. And wealth, of course, doesn't refer only to finances. It refers to every area where we allow ourselves to feel abundant, right? Absolutely. So here's my trick. I like to put up some kind of live flower painting, something that like represents life, right? Yes. It's like I have a big flower that's massively in bloom. It like covers the entire wall. Then on the opposite wall, I like to put in a mirror so that it reflects that energy. And that's one of my favorite tips and tricks that I like to do. I like to represent whatever is there in that space. And if it's, something really powerful and positive, I like to reflect it in a mirror so I get double the energy.
Double, yeah, if not more.
Yeah, Teresa likes to smudge. Such a great practice too.
I just smudged, and I still have. Well, you can see it sort of here. It's still burning, so I can still smell it.
You know what else I think, my friend? I think we might have the same salt lamp. Yours is a little covered up by here. I'm gonna put your name down for 1 second. Oh, actually, there. Can you guys see Jess's salt lamp? And you see mine in the background? I love that too. That's cool. Soul sisters, matching salt lamps. We're twinsies.
We've got a couple in the house, and we've got a candle holder too, like a little Himalayan salt candle holder. And yeah, they're pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, with no further ado, I'm really excited to hear about these energetic footprints that we leave in our house and how we can bring our awareness to them, how we can clear it out if we're not leaving good footprints. I mean, as soon as I think of footprints, I think of like muddy footprints of like dog paws coming in and leaving muddy footprints everywhere. So share with us, like, when you talk about energetic footprints, what exactly is it that you mean by the footprints, and what do we do about this energy that we're leaving behind, this trail that we're leaving behind?
So when I was kind of doing the research on what I wanted to talk about today, this idea of having our energetic footprints came up. Although it's a phrase I've never heard before, or possibly I've heard it before, but I did a little bit more research and investigating on it because I'm sure I'm not the creator of this one thought. But the idea of it to me is kind of like the muddy dog or muddy, footprint, dog print or paw print going through the house. That's a good way, I think, to look at it in our minds. But it doesn't also have to mean, mud or, that negativity that we may be leaving around. It can also be the positivity, that cleansing, that clearing, that love that we also want to impart in the world. And so for me, the way that I look at it is the way that we impact others by our auras, by our state of being, and all of that is reflected in the areas of our home or the items that we come in contact with.
So really, they can be positive or negative footprints, just depending on whatever energy that we're carrying inside of us. We're basically leaving a trail of either positive or negative energy wherever we go.
Absolutely. And so it's like whether we're aware of it or not, it's happening. It's we kind of go on this default mode where we may not be aware of what we're leaving behind or trailing, but it's all there, and it's certainly reflected in our home in various ways. There was a quote that I found, and it was from this YouTube speech done by Michael Mamas, and I don't know if that's a familiar name. I did a little bit of searching on him and his background, and he says it's the footprint we impose upon the fine fabric of group consciousness.
Ooh, that's good. Would you repeat that one more time? That was good. That's even deeper than like what we're leaving in our home. That's
oh my gosh,
what we're imprinting to society, right? Okay, read that again. I'm going to open my heart and take that in. Open your heart, everybody, and take this in really deep.
So it's the footprint you impose upon the fine fabric of group consciousness.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah, well,
like
dude,
that.
We got to be aware of that then. Right? Time to bring awareness to these footprints that we're leaving behind.
Totally.
Yeah.
And so for me, it can be a deep question for sure, in the sense of it's our legacy. It's what are we imparting onto others when we may not be around, or when we are around, especially. Would that affect new owners of home if like someone moved out and then left bad prints? Absolutely.
Great question.
I love that, Sonia. Yeah, absolutely. And it can also relate to the homes we've lived in the past. There's this amazing meditation that my Feng Shui master, Tisha Morris, performs. And it's a soul retrieval meditation from past homes. And it's pretty fantastic when we start to gather ourselves and see where we've left little parts of us around. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I got major chills all down my body. That's powerful too. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible, this line of work, but bringing our awareness to that. And I mean, you could have little inklings of where you may have left little parts of yourself in a dream, or I mean, it could come to you in an insight, anything like that. But certainly we leave our footprints wherever we live, primarily because it's our home sanctuary. It's where we live, eat, breathe. It's a big part of us, a big extension from ourselves. So yeah. And in this talk that Michael Mamas was performing, he was talking a lot about how, now he was talking about the fine fabric of group consciousness, but he was referring to it as either we're taking or we're supporting and giving. And it's that exchange almost. And I see that strongly in our homes. And a lot of that is really reflective on the state of our home and where it's at. So that was kind of my definition of what an energetic footprint is. And certainly there's a major importance in being aware of that. But how do we observe our energetic footprint? You know, well, like I said, it's reflected in our homes. But there's two sorts of ways you can go about it. It's an internal way and like an external way. And with the internal, it's really looking at your thoughts, observing your vibe and the aura, which could also be reflected in how others see you. And how do you feel about your environment? So intuitively, how do you feel when you think of your home? You know, and that's quite a simple way to look at it, but very impactful when we actually start to open those doors and start to look at those areas in our life. I
have a quick question for you. So let's say that you don't have a really happy, peaceful feeling in your home. Does that automatically mean that you have to move? Or does that mean that maybe you could just be thinking about shifting some things around in your home? And how many of you guys out there actually feel positive? Let us know if you feel positive or if you feel a little stirred up or if you feel negative about your home space when you think about how you feel about your home. But what do we do if it's not such a positive feeling? I mean, where do we go from there if we're not going to pack up and move?
Well, there are several techniques, and I mentioned earlier about your own home practices because that really plays a part in our feelings towards our home. And what I mean by that is we can also, if we have that negative connotation or that anxious feeling or that, very restricted feeling in our homes, oftentimes what's going to really help is space clearing. That's one of the tools that you can use, drained by the vibe. Jason, do you mean that it's overwhelming or that it's kind of like this negative energy that's kind of draining you in this space? There's certainly different ways to approach it, but I've got all kinds of tips on what we can do practically to change the vibe of our own home and raise the vibration.
That's a good way to just like fine tune how you're feeling about your space. Is it like draining your energy physically and emotionally, or do you feel overwhelmed, like there's too much? And sometimes that can make us feel tired as well. But there's a subtle difference between feeling that overwhelm and just feeling like sucked, like all the energy sucked out of the space, right? Oh, Rhonda says she does space clearing. Awesome.
Space clearing, of course. Yeah, that's awesome. Feng Shui is a must.
Yes.
It is.
And Miss Sonia, her husband is in the military, so they have that moving often as part of their life. So yeah, absolutely, Sonia. Makes you want to clean every home energetically that you move into. Waiting for Jason. Okay, Jason says it feels old and draining. Yeah.
It feels old and draining. Okay. Well, there's so many things that I think can be done that could address your own situation. Even going back to what Sonia was saying, a space clearing really is going to wipe out all attachments from previous homeowners. And probably what I would recommend is doing the space clearing with that intention in mind as well. Because our intention, obviously, it goes a long way and it can really help to sever those ties.
How do we do that? How complicated is space clearing?
Space clearing, it can be as complicated or as simple as you like. I smudge and I burn incense fairly often. It's kind of whenever I feel like it's needed. And for me, it's an instant mood booster in our home. And I can notice it in my children as well. So it's certainly having an effect. However, if you're sensitive to smell or even don't like the idea of lighting a candle or a lighter or something like that, you can also, what I would prefer is do sort of a meditation where it's almost like a japa meditation, where it's loving kindness, and what you're doing is you're taking your own energetic field and cleansing every nook and corner of your space. To me, that's a very simple yet very impactful way that you can space clear. But there's so many other ways that I've got a long list here of different methods too, but yeah. So
Awesome. Teresa says, is smudging her house with intent the same as space clearing?
smudging my house, absolutely. I would even say, so if you're using like a smudge stick, such as the white sage, going around, you can either think or vocalize your intentions while you're space clearing. So, I mean, I did this the other day and just kind of went around and said, I release any energies that are no longer holding the space for our highest goods. And just went around the house doing that, got into all the corners especially. And if you're looking into like our doorways, like a lot of energy can get stagnant in there. So really focusing in the upper corners and traveling around is a great way.
Yeah, we got some good tips in here too. I love what Sonia talked about bringing in color and things that give you that bright feeling. And Rhonda, I had to read that comment twice because I was like, first of all, I thought she said paint the walls with like white or like a light color, but no, she means like energetically get yourself a bucket of light and just painting that light on the wall. I love that one. I'm totally going to paint my walls with a light. That's a great one.
I never thought of that.
I love it.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That's good stuff.
Hi, Christina. Yeah, and one other thing is I'm also practicing Reiki. So using our hands or, using that energetic force that's within us really to cleanse the space is a great tool. I know when I was studying with my first degree for Reiki, there was a lot of emphasis on you can really Reiki anything, but your house, your food, your clothing. And I know we're talking a lot about space clearing, but it can also pertain to a specific item. If you get like a secondhand item, could even be brand new, and kind of cleansing it of any energetic ties that it may be coming into your home with is a really nice tool. And that can easily be done as simply as, putting it through the wash if it's a piece of clothing, or using Reiki on the item itself, or even just, using some water and just rinsing it, whatever the item is. So really depends on the situation.
All right, what else is on your list that you got to teach us today, my friend? I don't want to get too off the topic. I know you prepared some fun stuff to share with us, so.
Oh, well, we just go with the flow, honestly. So why is all of this important? I mean, I know we're talking about space clearing, we're talking about our energetic footprint, and, I think we all probably have a general understanding as to why it's important, but really it's creating this ripple effect when we take responsibility for our own health and well-being, and it's going to spread that positive energy that we cultivate within ourselves, and it's going to spread much more than anything else, really. But it's important to impart those footprints to others to kind of lighten their day, and also for them to spread it, right?
I love Shauna's question here. I feel like this is exactly what you just said about taking responsibility for that energy that you're bringing into your space. Dude, if you've dug up the crystals yourself and you've gone through the process, and cleansing our crystals is an important thing too. You can cleanse them with lots of different means, saging, Reiki. But Shauna, that's an amazing way to take responsibility. I mean, that's like from top to bottom taking responsibility because you've dug them yourself out of the ground. I think that's a great thing to bring into your space.
Absolutely. And we incorporate crystals in our own home. That's one of the other space clearing techniques that I've had listed, or ways to raise our home's vibe. But certainly if you find them yourself, I think it's almost like a little gift that's waiting for you to bring into your space. So bring it out, cleanse it, polish it, cherish it, have it with some light maybe to keep it energized, and like physical light from the sun, and no, I think that's a great way. Absolutely. Yeah. So And of course, I'd love to get to raising our home's vibe, because there's so many ways to do that. And I mean, we could spend literally a whole talk just on that, but I would love to just go over a few things that we may or may not be aware of.
Wonderful. All right, you guys ready to take some notes about how we can raise our home's vibe? I'm ready.
Yeah. So the one tip that came to me first and was most prevalent is to remove chemical cleaners.
Yes. Like,
it's very
so by chemical cleaners,
practical.
you mean like the Windex and the
Absolutely.
409 and the bleach and that kind of stuff?
Totally. Because it's unnecessary and it's probably causing more harm than good. Or I know it's causing more harm than good. But there's so many natural cleaners out there that you can either purchase or just make on your own using just a few key ingredients. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievable the amount of products that are unnecessary to spend our time, energy, and money on, mm-hmm. That are actually doing the reverse effect from what we think. So
my go-to is a big bottle of vinegar. Like, I go to get that giant jug of white vinegar, and then I mix it with vinegar and water, and sometimes I'll add essential oils, and that's my go-to for almost everything that I clean in my house.
Yeah, we use vinegar and we use water and a lot of baking soda. Mm-hmm. And then you can also get like unscented natural cast iron soap. Yes. And it's kind of like a base for almost anything that you need.
And it's fun too. Like, whipping up your own stuff is really, really fun. And if you guys have kids at home, this is something that you can bring the kids in to help you with. I mean, what kid doesn't? My kids used to ask me, can I just play scientist, Mom? Like, they would just get things of water and mix them together. This is a really excellent way that they can actually help make and they might even want to go clean with them after they make them with you. And you're not worried about them taking in those bad, nasty chemicals, right?
Totally. Yeah, white vinegar and lemon. Yes, lemon has amazing cleansing properties, and you'll see it reflected in so many other products and services. Like, so using essential oils like a lemon essential oil or lime, it's got that. I mean, it must be why Lysol has that scent, in their product. Like, I'm not really sure how much of the lemon or citrus is in that product. However, certainly adding it to our own homemade recipes are like necessary, and like this offers this little boost of cleansing properties. So. And while you're cleaning with these essential oils, you're also getting that boost yourself, with the aromatherapy.
Yes, you're sharing a brain. That's just what I was thinking, because lemon has that uplifting effect, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Welcome, Susan says she just popped on. Yes, she uses oils for cleaning and pest control. I was going to share that too. Sometimes we'll have ants that come in, and so I get a little bottle and I have peppermint oil in there and a little water, and just spray them down with the peppermint oil.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We've made a spray for ticks and little critters outside, because we've got like a tick epidemic where we're at, and so it's like. Eucalyptus, I know, is a really big one because the scent is so powerful. Certainly peppermint. I think tea tree oil is likely in there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and I feel comfortable using it, especially with the children. Mm-hmm. I'm almost 34 weeks pregnant, so I mean,
the baby's coming.
Yeah, the baby's coming. So cutting out those chemicals really is that reassurance. Mm-hmm. That we're all staying nice, healthy, and safe. So
yeah, you can make. Oh, here's another one. Susan says clove oil and cinnamon. Yep, those are great ones too. I make a spray for my kids' scalp when they go to school, because that head lice will get you at school, and that's a combination of peppermint and tea tree. And I have to look at my recipe again to remember exactly what all is in there. But yeah, using those essential oils and making your own products, that's a great way. I love that tip on raising the vibe of your home. Totally. Good one, Jess.
Yeah. And then second, I know someone has already mentioned it earlier, but decluttering items that are no longer being used. So if there are items in your home and they're just sitting, they're not being used, I'd say get them out of there, or on it. Really, you probably don't need it if it hasn't been used. I know there are so many tips and tricks online about how to declutter, but just as a general overview, if it's something that hasn't been used, get rid of it. Because if you are,
get brave and get rid of it. Just dump it.
I mean, that's a very simple way of looking at it, but it's causing that energy to just sit and linger. When
taking up space, right? When we want to bring in new things into our life, we have to create space for them to come in. So if you have stuff sitting around that you're not using, that's taking up your energetic space, people. Gotta get that stuff out of there. Jess, did you read that book that was on the Oprah's bestseller not long ago? What is it? The tidying up.
Life-changing magic of tidying up.
I
thought I'd have it right here.
I have it. I have a copy of it too. I didn't, honestly, very few books do I get all the way through because my life I just don't tend to get all the way through them. But I trust that I get the information that I need when I'm reading. And the one thing that I took away from that book in terms of decluttering was so many of us are like, okay, how do I decide what I'm going to get rid of? If I haven't used it, I'm getting rid of it. She rearranged my thoughts to say, if it doesn't bring me joy, it's got to go. And I thought, oh, that's big, because there are things that I'm still using, clothes that I'm still wearing, and these things do not bring me joy. I can tell you that. So that gave me a different protocol that I could just really start getting rid of stuff. If it doesn't bring me joy, it's got to go.
Absolutely. A lot of times, because we have such an emotional attachment to our items in our home, for various reasons, good, positive, and negative. But if it's something that is a negative association or something that certainly doesn't spark that joy, which Marie Kondo really suggests in that book, then you got to pass it on. You got to let it go, because you're carrying that weight with you wherever you go. So that could also be another way that your energy is being drained in your own home. And if you feel like you're just collecting piles of things around, it could be maybe, you got a little bit of anxiety and it's reflected in those items, just kind of around your home. So it's a big part. And it was a big wake-up call for myself, really, is to look at that.
Yep, there you go, Jason. Yeah. That is it.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Jess, give us one more tip that we can use to raise the vibe of our home. And then I want you to share with everybody how they can get in touch with you if they want to do some private feng shui consulting about their home. Because you do that. You do not only do you give people tips, but I saw on your page you've got a do it for me option where you can do the work that so many of us either don't have time to do, or we don't feel like we've got it all figured out to do. Charles is in the house. What's up, Charles? Nice to see
you. So I know there are a few that we've already covered. There's two that I'd love to cover. I know, two. One, quickly, music. Adding music in our home. Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Very uplifting. And it doesn't have to be what's popular on the radio now. I actually really love jazz and classical music. Hi, Charles. And just that, the creativity, that authenticity that comes through in that music can be so empowering and uplifting. So that's one. And there's, other means like binaural beats that can really cause a shift in our own energy, which is fabulous. Love them. But one other big one that I feel like always needs to be emphasized is cutting down on electronics in our home. So, because we may be getting all that unnecessary pollution really in our own bodies, mind, spirit, and so cutting it out as much as possible. I mean, you don't want to probably be too disconnected, but limiting for sure, and removing, like I've talked about on the last episode I've been on, the television in the bedroom, that sort of thing. It's a big no-no. And just being aware of that and looking at how many devices you may have and finding a way to simplify it. Yeah. I'm just looking at the environment of both your videos. It's all
yeah, thanks, Justin. That's always feels good when people recognize that you're you're no BS. Like we're walking the walk, talking the talk. Now my kids have electronic devices. They have their iPads that they like to watch videos on. They like to play games on. They do some research for school, but the majority of it is entertainment. But what I've done recently is, because we don't have TVs in the bedroom, but to give everybody their own space that has no electronic EMF or anything in it, I tell them, when you have that time, because there are only certain times that I allow them to use it, we'll all come into the same room together. And so that keeps special places clear where I know that they have a place that they can go rest at night that's not polluted with all of this electromagnetic frequency energy.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if you do or not, but adding plants to the kids' bedrooms, or any bedrooms, to be honest, I find that was another tip that I'm just kind of sneaking in. But
you sneaker.
Yeah.
You're like a mom sneaking in carrots and spinach into our brownies here.
That's it. Yeah, the black bean burgers or avocado. I need to tell my hubby he has like 6 TVs. I'm like, why do we need so many? Yep. I grew up in that generation too, where it's like video games and TV. Fortunately, I didn't marry anyone that, has that attachment and has kept it through. So I've got that working for me, which I'm very, very blessed.
Good.
But it's a big part of our society and culture these days. So it's really changing that mindset to understand what's healthy and maybe not so healthy for us, and making those decisions for ourselves to create that ripple.
That's cool. I love it when people have differing opinions and are not afraid to share them. Justin, let me just honor you for being brave enough to share, because this is probably a platform of people who don't feel that way. So I'm going to open up to my own consciousness just to see like how this would possibly affect us in our house. Justin says that his belief is that EMFs amplify whatever vibe it is that you already have. So if that's the case and you have a really good vibe going in your home, it's possible that those electromagnetic frequencies ripple that out to the rest of your space. So if that's something that intrigues you guys to learn more about, look more into that, because there are, following our own intuition and our own instincts. Because each one of us we're the same, but we're so different too. And finding that space where we can honor ourselves, even if it's different than somebody else's belief, and having space and tolerance for that is powerful. Honestly, beyond the nitty gritty, like the specifics of what people are disagreeing about, the fact that we can create a space for differing opinions to exist is way more powerful than figuring out which side of an issue that you stand on, in my opinion. So Justin, thank you for bringing that openness to the space. It's really, really powerful. Jess, if people want to get a hold of you and want to know how to work with you, let us know where we can find you. I'm going to type it up there on the screen.
All right. Yeah. So I'll give you my website first, because it has everything there. It has a way of contacting me, list of services, all of that. But it's Nurture with Nature Home Designs. .ca. Give me a moment.
Sure. Okay, nurturewithnature.ca.
Homedesigns.ca.
HomeDesigns.ca. Booyah! I think I got that right.
Amazing.
Nurture with Nature. All right.
Yep. No, that looks perfect. You did it. Yeah. So if
all right.
you go there,
yes.
All the information's there, but essentially I'm really focusing on Feng Shui consultations, where we can look at your unique situation and figure out what tweaks and obstacles that are to be lifted and to be observed and fine-tuned. So
that's wonderful. And as you guys can see, Jess has just the sweetest, most compassionate and precious energy. She's so fun to work with, obviously very calming. She will definitely bring that energy to your own home. It's reflected, like Justin noticed, it's reflected so much in just who she is. So this is a powerful person to really help you bring that awareness into your home and into your space. Now, I always like to finish off with giving you guys a little tidbit that I download from the Akashic Records. And I have to say that it changed through the process of this broadcast. what I was originally going to share with you guys is the idea that your home has an Akashic record as well. So the Akashic records are the information realm, right, where every detail of information has been recorded about you, past, present, and all future possibilities. Well, your home has an Akashic record as well. And my tip was going to be to share with you guys that your home, each and every home, has a soul purpose, just like we have a soul purpose. And there are things that your home is there to support you in doing. Now, granted, sometimes we don't always have all of our energy aligned right so that we're receiving that soul support that we need. So my first tip was going to be from the records, was going to be to invite you guys to investigate more, looking into, on an intuitive basis, what is the sole purpose of your home and how is it there to support you? And this can be done even if you are not an Akashic Records practitioner. You can do this simply by just opening up your intuition, moving yourself into a meditative space and asking the question and trusting the answers that you're getting. But the second fun fact that came in from the space of the records, and it came in the very beginning when Jess was sharing the idea of we leave little bits of ourselves in all of the homes that we were in. And I said I had that flood of energy coming down. I can tell you instantly what the records told me. Might choke me up a little bit here, but that I left a part of my inner child in my childhood home, right? And they're saying share that because so many of us have done that. If you notice that your inner child work is huge, guys, bringing that playful spirit to your life and loving every moment of your life is something that can be difficult for adults to do because we get programmed, right, by all these footprints that are getting left around in the social consciousness. If you find that you don't have enough playfulness in your life, it's highly likely that you left some of your soul, that childlike essence of you in your childhood home. So I invite each and every one of you guys to create a little meditation for yourself too, where you in your mind go back to that home, gather up that childlike essence of yourself and incorporate that back into your soul, lovingly welcome that back into your space. I might be just doing that later myself. That's such brilliant insight that thank you so much for sharing that with us, Jess. So everybody, I'm so happy that you guys have joined us here today. Again, one of my favorite things to do is to show up in this space and introduce you to my light worker friends. Jess, you're just such a pleasure to have in my life. Thank you for coming on the show again. We'll definitely have you back because, like you said, we could talk about this stuff forever.
Oh,
right?
And it's so much fun. It's so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you guys so much for joining us live. And for those who are watching the recording, thank you so much. If you have questions, comment below. I will be happy to answer your questions, or reach out and contact me because I'm here to help you out too. So
awesome. Yep, Jason says, yep, left it behind. I did too. I left it behind in my childhood home. I gotta go get it. All right, that's what I'm gonna go do, guys. So I'm gonna take off from here. I'm gonna go pick up my childhood soul back in my childhood home. Thank you again, and we will see you here, of course, next time. And Jess has so graciously offered to come back and check this feed. So if you guys have questions, feel free to leave them, and she will get back to you on those. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.